gavel, and I'm going to call to order the regular meeting of the Temple City City Council to order. Madam Clerk, if we could have roll call, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Chen?
Here.
Councilmember Mann?
Here.
Councilmember Sternquist? Here. Mayor Pro Tem Yu?
Here.
Mayor Chavez?
Here. Thank you. All right, tonight we will start with our invocation. Pleased to have Pastor Kelty from Community of Christ Church with us again this evening, who will provide the invocation. So if we could all please stand, and after the invocation, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let me first thank the council and the staff for the nice gift last month. I really appreciate it. Thank
Well,
you.
You're very welcome. It's the least we could do, so thank you.
Let us lift our hearts in prayer this evening. Our heavenly Creator, who is the source of all things good, we, a few of your children, would come into your presence today to ask of you, your ever-present Spirit, to be with this council and those who are gathered, that we would be open in your minds to that Spirit in order that we might be able to bring it better to this city. Do those things that would make this present and the future a city worthy. We would pray especially too for their staff, that in harmony with the council and those members, they might work with diligently at their individual tasks, that indeed we might be living in a place to be proud of. And finally, for the audience here gathered, may they, through their individual and corporate efforts, leave this city a better place by what they do today. This we ask. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, and for our Pledge of Allegiance this evening, I'm going to ask Bradley, Jack, and Eli from our Temple City National All-Stars to come up and lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance this evening. So if you guys want to remove your caps, you guys can go ahead and stand right there. And I'll go ahead and turn it over to you to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So everybody place the flag over here to our right. Go ahead, guys. Just say, ready, begin, and we'll start. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Should we do the Little League pledge? No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. All right, you guys want to do the Little League pledge? All right, come on, everybody come up here and do it. Let's go. Let's bring you all up. Come on. Come on. All right, come on up, guys. Move back, come back this way so Jerry can take your photo. Okay, you guys ready? Ready to begin? I trust in God. Love my country. Will respect its laws. Right. All right, good job, guys. Well, if we weren't awake before, we're all awake now, right? Well, as you can tell, tonight we are here and we are honored and pleasure. It's our pleasure to welcome the Temple City National Little League 8 to 10-year-old All-Stars. And the reason they are here this evening is because they won our 2024 California District 18 Little League Championship. How about a big hand for them? They were actually able to win the championship right here at Live Oak Park back in, was it July? I think it was in July, right? Yeah, July, yeah. And they came that close to winning sectionals, which would have been the next step. But you know what? We're proud of you guys for what you did so far. I know it was a long season, and you guys did a fantastic job. And I actually had front row seats because, as you know, I'm in my other life, district administrator, and I was able to do that tournament as well. So I was very happy. Of course, during the tournament, I had to make sure that the opposing teams didn't know that I was the mayor of Temple City as well, because then they would have thought, okay, what's going on here? But it was a good job. They did a great job. And thank you to all the parents, too, for your showing up. You guys, it was a great crowd, especially for the championship game. The stands were packed. The outfield was busy. I mean, it was a great turnout, and you guys supported the boys very well. So thank you for doing that.
Mayor, is that number 7 have a relation to you?
Yeah, I think there's one out there that probably has some relationship to somebody up here, I think, but we'll get to that later. But anyway, so what we'd like to do this evening is to recognize the players and the coaches, of course, for a job well done, and of course, representing Temple City in the way you did. So thank you so much. And so in order to do that, we have some certificates to present to each of you. But before we do that, I would like to call up Manager Erwin. Where's Erwin? Come on up, Erwin. Come on, why don't you come up here and say a few words and maybe kind of give a recap on the season and how proud you are of the boys. Sorry to put you on, thing. Give a little speech. There you go. Give your post-game speech. There you go. All right.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Temple City, I guess, for having myself and our all-star team here. I'm very proud of these boys. Tom touched on all the points. They worked very hard. As soon as the regular season ended, closing ceremony, we started practicing 4, 5, 6 days a week. Some of these kids even had 4-hour practices. They worked their butts off to get to that spot. So very good job on their end. Coaches Matt, Nick, John had helped me out a lot on with all the practices, all the games, group effort. Totally group effort. Parents being on board with my vision. What I had, I fully had envisioned that they go this far, even further. We came a little bit short of making state, but I'm very proud of them. Even getting that win against Glendora was a huge accomplishment because a lot of these kids know how good that program is already, and we came out with an extra inning walk-off in sections. It's not an easy task, but again, very proud of them. It was special team, special moments all around, and I know they're gonna cherish this moment for a long time. Just an example, my son already wrote an essay at school about the Glendora game, so they're gonna remember this, and that's what baseball's about. Again, thanks to District 18 hosting a great District 18 championship at Live Oak. We filled the parents filling up the stands. That was very great. Again, that's my take, and these kids are gonna do well moving forward.
Thank you. Maybe a couple years from now, we'll see you in Williamsport, huh? How about that?
Yeah, that'll be the goal.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. This will be that group. This will be that group in hopefully a year or two. Even next year, I think we'll get a good shot at that. But yep, when they're all 12-year-olds, they're going to be a good team again.
All right. Well, thank you so much. How about
Thank
a big
you.
round of applause? Thank you. Okay, so if I could get my fellow council members to join me up here in the front, and we'll get these certificates handed out. Okay. So as you hear your name, why don't you come up to the front and we'll give you their certificate, and then we're going to have everyone stand out in the front so that Jerry can get everybody's photo, okay? And when we're done with that, bring up your trophy and your flag, and we'll have those or your banner, and we'll have those in the picture as well. So let's start off with the coaches first. We got Coach Matt Lopez. I think Matt's here. And then we have Nick Drazenovich, our coach. Coach Raz, not here? He's probably working. Yeah. Okay. And first we have, and then of course the manager, Erwin Yu. Come on up, Erwin. Bradley Yu. Bradley here? Come on up. He's holding the trophy. I guess the manager's son gets to hold the trophy, right? All right. Jimmy Yang. Jimmy. Nico Salonen. Nico. Eli Romero. Is it Lua? Lua? Isaac Lua? And Jax Lopez. Silas Roblox? Roblox. I didn't do the announcing, so I'm not used to the names. Shane Gutierrez. And Alec Drzanovic. Max Dang, Max. Jordan Wong, Jordan. Here, we'll take the last one. And last but not least, let's see, I think he might be related to somebody up here, right? Clifford Chen. Clifford, come on up. All right, let's get in a photo over here.
That's a size difference for 2 years, though.
Okay, hold not, don't hold it in front of your face. Let's give it that a little bit. Somebody try to get Vince in the picture. He's over there on the screen. All right, Jerry, we're okay?
No, not yet.
All right.
Gordon,
help hold it, and Clifford will hold
Let's
it,
get the
and then
banner
the banner,
stretched.
so that way Bradley's already holding two items. Shane, yes, stick it right there, so we're gonna need it, okay?
There we go.
Jerry, you got the trophy in front?
All right, here we go. Clifford, where's your, there you go.
All right, here we go.
Young man, next to, yeah, I can't see your face. Get in, there you go, right there, that's better.
Okay, don't move, you guys, we're making adjustments, you guys have to
Okay,
stay
here we
still.
go.
Just put it a little lower so your face is, there you go. Look straight, big smiles.
There you go, I know this asked a lot. Can we get the parents up here?
Yeah, sure. Parents, come on up. We're done taking photos. Yeah, everybody back up.
You guys stay,
Yeah, you guys stay where you're at.
Yeah, yeah. But your sister knows it too, you know?
Let's go.
You guys, the taller ones can come back here if you want.
Ready? Councilmember Chen, let me see your face. All right, sir. Look over here, young man. Perfect, thank you.
Good job, guys. Okay, now keep in mind we will not be offended if you guys decide you want to leave right now, okay? So this would be the good time because we're going to go ahead with our regular meeting. So, but if you're welcome to stay, you're more than welcome, but we won't be offended by leaving. We know you have homework to do tonight, right? Well, it got significantly quieter in here, huh?
Yes. Children can do that.
Well, I hate to do this to you, Miss Flores. What a tough act to follow, but I'm sure you'll do a great job, right? So we will now move on to item B, our California Department of Insurance Sustainability Insurance Strategy, and we're pleased to have with us tonight Destiny Flores, who is with the outreach, who is an outreach analyst for the California Department of Insurance, who will provide a presentation on the sustainability insurance strategy implemented by Commissioner Ricardo Lara. So welcome. Thank you for coming.
Good evening, council members, and thank you for having me this evening. Again, my name is Destiny with the California Department of Insurance. Next slide, please. As you know, the insurance markets are currently facing significant pressures due to three primary factors: increased rebuilding cost, labor shortages, and higher cost and reduced availability of reinsurance. These pressures are leading insurance companies to prioritize existing customers and limit new businesses. Next slide, please. So the property insurance market is evolving rapidly. Currently, there are 115 companies that offer homeowners insurance, but 12 groups dominate 85% of Californians' market. So since 2022, 7 of these top 12 groups have paused or restricted new business despite rate increases being approved or pending with the California Department of Insurance. So this complex and global issue significantly impacts us locally. Next slide, please. So this slide shows that 7 of these 12 insurance companies have either paused or restricted their new policies, even though most have pending or approved rate increases, showing that the problem cannot be solved by just increasing prices. Next slide, please. So over the past decade, California insurers have performed worser than the national average due to devastating wildfires. During this period, California experienced 9 of the most devastating wildfires in its history. So this raises the question, can consumers obtain the insurance that they need today? All in all, no, due to increased impacts of climate change. Next slide, please. So since Insurance Commissioner Lara took office in 2019, we've monitored insurance availability trends. The FAIR Plan is growing, but policyholders are paying more for less coverage. High-risk properties in the FAIR Plan increase the risk of insolvency in a catastrophic event. If the FAIR Plan goes bankrupt, insurance companies are responsible for unpaid losses. Next slide, please. So to reduce the risk of major losses in the industry, Commissioner Ricardo Lara introduced the Safer from Wildfires framework. So this 3-step system protects homes, surroundings, and communities while providing consumers with discounts and transparency about their risk grading. So with this regulation, we expect more businesses, homeowners, and communities to invest in wildfire safety, enhancing community resilience, and reducing losses. Although CDI cannot force insurers to write coverage, this regulation addresses the root cause of non-renewals, which is wildfire risk. By making California safer and ensuring accurate insurance pricing, we anticipate more insurance options and a more competitive market. Next slide, please. So step 1 is basically to install a Class A fire rated roof, as well as enclosed attics and roof space, use fire-resistant vents, choose tempered glass windows, and ensure a minimum of 6 inches of non-flammable materials for vertical clearance at the bottom of the exterior surface of the structure. Next slide, please. So step 2 focuses on protecting the immediate surroundings. So first, remove vegetation and debris from under decks, Second, clear vegetation, debris, and any flammable materials within 5 feet of the building. And third, incorporate only non-flammable materials into any improvements within 5 feet of the building. Finally, remove flammable structures, sheds, and other outbuildings from the immediate vicinity of the homes to at least a distance of 30 feet. Next slide, please. And finally, step 3 involves achieving community-level mitigation. This will likely require coordination with local government agencies such as fire, emergency services, and planning departments. Community-level mitigation includes programs like FireWise USA, created by the National Fire Protection Association. California currently has over 700 FireWise USA communities, with more forming, which is crucial for ensuring communities and are prepared against wildfires. Next slide, please. So starting August 23rd, the California Fair Plan will offer insurance discounts with other companies expected to follow by the end of the year. So the Fair Plan provides a 10% discount for policies in FireWise communities and now offers 2 additional wildfire hardening discounts, 10% for protecting the structure and 5% for protecting the immediate surroundings. So contact your broker to learn more about qualifying for these discounts. So additionally, the CDI and the Fair Plan will increase the commercial coverage to $200 million per location effective November 1st, 2023, with the business owner policy limit increasing to $220 million by December 14. Insurance companies assign a risk score to your home or business. Knowing your risk score allows you to take action to reduce risk and ensure safety. This regulation requires insurance companies to provide your wildfire risk score and explain how it was created. The score must be provided when you apply for a new policy. So 15 days before policy renewal, 45 days before non-renewal, and 30 days after you complete mitigation and request a revised score. So if you're not satisfied with the response, remember that the Department of Insurance is here to help. Next slide, please. It is crucial to understand that we are not starting from the ground up. These actions are built on changes the insurance commissioner has made since 2019, moving in the direction of a more modern and resilient market. We have moved forward on wildfire actions and are responding to climate change like never before. We are proud the department is leading the way for our state and our nation. Next slide, please. So the California Sustainable Insurance Strategy is a comprehensive plan to modernize our insurance market with 3 interlocking goals: making insurance affordable to Californians, creating a resilient insurance market, and protecting communities from climate change. Next slide, please. Here are the executive actions and reforms that Insurance Commissioner Lara is taking. So increased insurance availability in wildfire distressed areas. Insurance companies will write no less than 85% of homes and businesses in these areas. This historic agreement will reverse the trend of a growing Fair Plan and close the insurance gap. Define distressed areas using a data-driven approach. Return Fair Plan policyholders to traditional insurance, prioritizing hardening homes and businesses following the Safer from Wildfires regulation. Introduce regulations for forward-looking catastrophic models, prioritizing wildfire safety, mitigation, and transparency. These models will recognize the benefits of investments in wildfire safety, including home hardening, full reduction, and prescribed fires. So take public input and prioritize safety and insurance access as well, and explore allowing California-only reinsurance costs to manage climate risk and continue writing policies. Ensure Californians don't pay for disasters across the nation and world. Companies using new risk assignment tools must agree to increase and maintain their writing in wildfire distressed areas, meeting the 85% requirement. Last slide, please. Next slide, please. Our California Sustainable Insurance Strategy is the result of meeting with the California homeowners, business owners, fire chiefs, agents, realtors, homeowners, associations, summer camps, farmers and ranchers, and many other insurance companies across the state. We have held meetings in all 58 counties since 2019, making sure we are taking everyone into account. The issue of insurance availability is crucial for everyone, and we will do our part to improve the market. Help us do your part by being safer from wildfires. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question. At 5:30 this afternoon, I received a consumer alert from Commissioner Lara.
Oh, okay.
Regarding the Cal Poly Humboldt, Commissioner Lara and Cal Poly Humboldt announced joint effort to create nation's first public wildlife catastrophe model. Do you know anything about that, or?
I apologize. I can get your contact information. We can get back to you regarding
Okay,
that.
well,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it looks pretty lengthy, and I didn't get a chance to read it, but I was
Yeah.
wondering, how can people sign up by email for what I received from Commissioner
Oh, yes.
Lara?
On our website, you can register to receive.
So you can register
Yeah, you can,
too?
yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
and can you also ask questions through the website? Or do you
I
need to
believe
call?
so, or you can call our 1-800 number. There is no wait time, and we have experts in all different languages that can answer questions as well.
Great, thank you, because I think it's
Thank you.
interesting for people to know what
Yes.
this new model would be like.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, go ahead.
In one of your slides, you said that it would require insurance companies to cover distressed areas, but only 85%. Do you know what the logic is behind 85%? Like, why not 100%?
I don't have an answer for that as far as the logic, but our hope is that we get the insurance companies back into California by everybody doing their part, from staying safer from wildfires and following the sustainable insurance strategy that he's implemented. Our hope is that they'll come back to California and do business again.
Oh, so it's an aspirational goal, it's not a requirement.
Well, it's going to be required, yes, that is correct. Yes,
Okay.
but our hope is to basically get everybody off of the FAIR plan.
Okay,
I
so
think-
the FAIR plan is supposed to be like a temporary measure
The
in
FAIR
the
plan,
interim?
the FAIR plan was actually implemented as the insurance of last resort, but right now, all insurance companies have paused, especially, like I said, there's over 115 insurance companies, but 12 of them dominate like 85% of the market, and I think it was 7 out of that 12 have stopped or paused. So nobody is writing insurance in high-risk fire areas, which are, it could be something simple as the roof is not up to par, and so they're being denied. It can be that, it could be very, very minimal things, and so that's the goal, is to, everybody is currently on the FAIR plan. It's very expensive, and it's only wildfire insurance, so then they have to go and get other insurance from other companies to wrap around for their whole entire home. So right now, the insurance of last resort is pretty much the insurance that everybody is on as far as the California FAIR plan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you know if the insurance commissioner's office works with other government agencies as far as looking at the root problem of some of these issues?
Yes.
Like maybe looking at development laws to be changed, like where people put homes. Maybe you might not want to build on a cliff overlooking the ocean, things like that. I mean, does the insurance commissioner get in that, or is that outside their
He does
jurisdiction?
work with other government agencies, however, in regards to laws, that is in the state Senate and Assembly. But, yeah, so.
Yeah, he can, I guess, lobby them, but doesn't have any power over that. I guess that's up to local and county and governments like
Government,
that, yeah.
Yes.
And you talked about the risk score. I would assume that if someone were to look up Temple City, our risk score is relatively low. As compared to maybe Azusa or someone like that, that's closer to the area.
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
And what would be a bad risk score? I mean, is there such a thing? Is it that the insurance companies are look at, like, is it 50%, 60%, or just how does that risk score calculated?
You know, that is a great question, and I don't have the answer for that, and as far
Okay,
as
is
the
it on
risk
your
score,
website to maybe look
but,
at that?
Yes, and I can touch bases with Peggy in regards to.
Okay, sure, great. No, I just was interested, but
Yes.
thank you. Well, thank you for your report. It's very informative. We wish you the best of luck. And, you know, as an attorney, I always said that the insurance companies rule the world. But sometimes we need to fight back, I guess, and do what's best. So thank you. Please express our thanks to Commissioner Lara for all that he's doing, and hopefully he'll be successful in a lot of these programs. I think we have one more question.
One question. So everyone can get insurance now, it's at a higher cost through this plan, though?
Through the FAIR plan, yes, that is
So you
correct.
can't be denied insurance, you just have to pay the cost?
That is correct.
Okay.
And then get wraparound insurance from other insurance,
other-
yes, because it's only wildfire insurance, the FAIR plan, yes.
Well, you know, I mean, we've talked about this before from a
They
city
called my
standpoint, that our
radio
insurance
property
costs
denied
certainly
because
have
it's-
risen because of
it's
the
not
fact
even a mile
that we
from
live in
the
California. And there have been so many different calamities and things that obviously have an effect on premiums and stuff. And it's just a difficult situation all the way around. So whatever the commissioner's office can do to kind of help the
Yes.
everyday guy, I think is a plus. So thank you very much, and we appreciate you coming this evening.
Thank you, council
All right,
members,
thank you.
for having me.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Take care. Okay, we will now move on to item 6, public comments on items not listed on the agenda. I do have one speaker request form from, who is it, Lloyd Bont? Come on up. Hey, how you doing?
Good evening,
Good evening.
City Council and supporting staff, Mr. City Manager and Attorney. I noticed this problem in my neighborhood. I live in Area 10, just behind the Sam's Club, or in the same area as the mayor. Since 2022, it started with my neighbor purchased a Tesla, and then without front license plate.
I'm sorry,
Since-
he started neighbor with
Front
what?
license plate.
No front license plate?
Yeah.
Okay,
And then started with that one in 2021 or 22, and then now we have a dozen of them on my street. It's only 405th Street. So I just imagine in the city, you multiply how many, probably the few hundred cars running without front license plate.
so
I think
is
that
is it California Vehicle Code 5200, is that the?
Yes.
Are you referring to the front license plate
Yeah,
requirement?
yes.
Okay.
When they purchase a car, the DMV give them 2, but they only install the one in the back, the rear. And according to the code, there's a violation can cost like $197 citation plus court fee. But I think for some reason, you see more and more cars running without license plate. And not only from Tesla, the other driver, like a BMW on my street, they started taking off their front license plate. So that's really a problem there. So I think the sooner we correct it, the better we have things back to normal. So, but Tesla has, just like other car, they have public forum. So once you give citation to some of them, the rest will correct themselves. Because on forum they say this is what happened to, So that's very, very easy to fix it. But, in terms of financial aid, the state of California has got like $20 billion deficit, right? So let's say, I would say we have 1 million cars running without license plate. That's a $300 million fine there. See, that really helped California. But I don't think we're going to get that. As soon as the news come and then they hear from friends, oh, you got to put the license plate on or you got a ticket. And then they will correct very soon. So I hope in our city we can have some strategy to correct the problem before it's out of control. Right now, I think it's out of control because besides Tesla, other cars also take off their license plate.
Yeah, well, thank you for bringing that to our attention. And this is not the first time this issue has come up. In fact, we've discussed it on the dais here before, and we've also discussed it at our monthly sheriff meetings as well, which we have a meeting next Wednesday morning. We meet the last Wednesday of the month, and certainly you're welcome to come to that. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, however, but it's right here at the community room, and we meet with the sheriff, and certainly those are the kind of concerns that you certainly can express to them, because obviously we look to them to enforce. And you're right, the vehicles are, for the most part, required to have a front and back license plate. There's no question about that. Whether or not or how that's enforced, I can tell you one thing, and I don't want to speak for the sheriff, but it's probably not a high priority as far as pulling people over or ticketing, but certainly if they are pulled over for whatever reason and they don't have a front license plate, they can certainly be violated for that. But, it's just a matter of enforcement, and we'll certainly express your concern to our sheriff and see what we can do about that. I can tell you that my wife owns a Tesla, and she has a front license plate.
Oh, that's
But
good.
you know what? Tesla does not offer them. You have to ask
Oh,
for one. And they don't even put the holes in the front for the license plate. And so it's, I think it's more of an industry problem than an enforcement problem. And I can tell you, when I bought my last new car, there was no front license plate and there was no place to put one. I asked the dealer, well, where's my front license plate holder? Oh, do you want one of those? It's like, they don't put them on either. So I don't know what it is. Maybe we need to start writing to our congressman or whatever to get these car dealers to try to enforce these things. But I would hazard a guess that most car dealers these days do not have a place for a front license. Just not Tesla. I can tell you that. So, it is a problem, but thank you for bringing it to our attention. I will definitely bring it up at our next sheriff meeting and see what we can do, and I'll give them the address. Maybe they can do a drive-by and see what's going on your
yeah.
street.
We have you don't have to catch them while they're driving, when they park the car.
Well, I don't know if it's a
Then-
driving violation or not,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
hard to
We'll
catch
leave
them
that-
because police car would be behind them, and they have a license
Yeah,
plate
perhaps,
behind.
yeah.
Unless you're in front of them.
Yeah, well,
The only
it-
thing
there's-
when they park on the street or they do reverse parking on the driveway, and
Well,
then
there's no
you see
question
them.
it's an enforcement
Yeah.
issue, you're right, so. Well, thank you very
All
much
right.
for bringing that to our attention. We'll see what we
All
can
right.
do about it,
All right,
okay?
Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. All right. Anyone else from the public wish to speak at this time? Adam, you can keep that front door open. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you. Okay, then I will then close public comments. We will now, before we move on to consent calendar, I'd like to allow our clerk to make a couple comments regarding the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council, just want to make a note on the consent calendar, item 7H. The title, Petty Cash Report, should be Visa Card Report. It's a routine item for council to receive and file the Visa Card Report. The attachment is correct. It's just the title needs to be
Okay.
corrected.
Thank you. Change is noted. So consent calendar items may be approved in a single motion as recommended unless removed for further discussion. Do we have a motion, or does anybody wish to remove any item on the consent calendar?
I'll move to approve.
Thank you. Second. We have a motion and a second. If we could have roll call, please.
Councilmember Chen?
Yes.
Councilmember Mann?
Yes.
Councilmember Sternquist?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yu?
Yes.
Mayor Chavez?
Yes. Okay, consent calendar is approved. Just want to note, one of the items we had on approval was request for fee waiver for the 2024 Relay for Life. I know we have representatives here this evening, so that matter has been approved. We look forward to your event on September 28th, and I'm going to do my best to be there, okay? It's a very busy day that day, very busy day. We've got, I think, 3 or 4 matters on going on in the city that day, but best of luck, and thank you, and hope to see you on the 28th. So good luck. Thank you. Okay, we will now move on to item number 8, public hearing. There is none. Unfinished business, none. New business, our fiscal year 2023-2024 fourth quarter preliminary financial review, treasurer's report, revenue, expenditure, and capital project summary reports. and budget amendments. I hope the report is shorter than that title, but go ahead.
And shorter than the previous presentation I
All
gave
right,
earlier
thank you.
today.
All right,
So
so-
that most definitely.
Mr.
Actually-
City Manager, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Chavez and members of the council. Before you tonight is we go through quarterly reviews with you on the status of our budget. This would be the end of our fiscal year 23-24 budget. I have good news to report to you and to the entire council. If I could have the presentation up when you have a chance, Madam Clerk. Thank you. So overall, our fund balance is going up. Our fund balance at the audited fund balance at the end of fiscal year 22-23 is 26.3 million. We estimate that our fund balance at the end of this fiscal year, June 30th, will end at about 29.5 million. That includes the deduction for part of the ARPA funding that we expended. So that 5.4 million, we want to make sure that the council is aware of that, is you gave us authorization earlier this fiscal year, the prior fiscal year, to pre-fund essentially through or pre-expend our ARPA funding so that we don't lose our ARPA funding. If you remember at the end of this fiscal year, if you did not commit every single dollar of that roughly $3 million, $8.4 million, that you could potentially lose it. So what we did in this fiscal year and what you will see in future quarterly reports is the remaining expenditure of that ARPA funding with our sheriffs, with our law enforcement costs and our law enforcement contract. Even with that being spent, we will see a surplus. That surplus will go down, that fund balance will go down a little bit from there because that's inclusive of some of the remaining ARPA funding that's there, but you will see an increase in your fund balance of 26.3 million. But for financial reporting purposes, that is what the fund balance will be at the end of June 30th, 2024. Generally speaking, generally speaking,
I think your mic went off.
only one could hope.
We're trying to give you a
A hint.
warning.
Got it. Just as a reminder, the ARPA funding initial, we had $8.5 million. We spent more, and you've allocated different funding amounts, but these were some of the projects in general that you've approved through our ARPA funding. So the roof project, the HVAC project that's happening as we speak right now, improvements to the council chambers, our financial system upgrade, Las Tunas improvements as well that you're starting to see throughout. Pickleball courts, the improvements which you see outside of Temple City Park right now, and what's going on construction-wise at Live Oak Park, some special equipment, the trellis, and
What is the trellis again?
the trellis was the outside, the entryway that's off of the park from of City Hall, the kind of breezeway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Call it trellis breezeway. And so that was structurally repaired as well. So we got a lot, we've gotten a lot done. It's been very fortunate to have that $8.5 million in ARPA funding. And to staff's credit, to TransTech, to our staff, our Parks and Recreation staff, our director is in the back, to Mr. Reimers, who's the project manager in-house staff on the roof project. Our projects are coming in under budget, under what we previously budgeted. So we didn't want to be in the position of doing the right thing, being frugal, but losing funding and having to return any of that $8.5 million. So been very pleased with that. So again, the commitments will have been fully made with the expenses of our sheriff's contract in the prior fiscal year and this fiscal year of $8.5 million, and then fully paid before the deadline of December 31st, 2026. So we have worked, and we've talked with the audit committee as well. We have worked this through our auditors. We are very comfortable. Most cities have taken this approach because of it takes time to get through projects. It takes time to complete them. And when we're coming a little under budget, we don't want to lose out on any money. So the council, reiterate that this is what the council has done. There's the remaining assigned fund balance for capital projects is in our general fund reserves. Excuse me. Okay, that kind of represents just a general idea of where we are at from the budgetary standpoint with ARPA. Generally speaking, our revenues are up across the board, but we are starting to see some moderation in that. When we got out of COVID, we saw a significant spike up as we were so concerned that we had ratcheted down, didn't fill vacancies, and made sure that we were spending within our means, but that recovery was rapid and sharp. We are starting to see a moderation in that revenue growth across the board. So, for example, on sales tax revenue, is only a little bit above, about 7% above what our projected revenues were. 2 years ago, it was about 22% above. Franchise fees are up a little bit. Where we're starting to see a little bit of a decline too, and just moderation of growth, is in things like our plan check fees. So some of the things where we kind of have a temperature gauge of what's happening in our local economy, we are starting to see moderation. We are not seeing declines yet, but we are starting to see some level of moderation in our revenue streams. Again, staff does an absolutely outstanding job in making sure that the funding that you appropriate for our programs and initiatives and capital projects are extremely well spent, taking care of treating the taxpayer dollars as if it's their own. So with that as well, we are slightly under on the expenditure side too. So that's another reason we've seen a surplus, a slight increase in revenues above what we had projected, but also to a little bit slight decrease or slightly under what was authorized as expenditures. So between the two, that's why you have a surplus as well. The other reason you have a bit of a surplus this year as well is because if you remember the interest rate environment about 18 to 24 months ago was literally LAIF, which was our primary, it's the state pool of funding where most of our funding goes to. You receive the treasurer's report from our accountant Lee Ma every month. We're yielding 4.35% right now. So the yield on our investments on our reserves is doing better than it has in decades. That will not last as well. We will start to see that decline as well over time. Not immediately, not in the next couple months, but over the next couple months and years, we can anticipate that yield on our investments will start to decline over time. So with those two things, we always take a moderate and conservative approach to our revenue expenditure, our revenue projections. As we're starting to get into, again, a moderation, I would describe it. We as staff will be coming to you, and when we have our new admin services director on board as well, that person will be, will be coming with a very conservative outlook and cautious outlook on how we're doing. And then with that, things are going very well. If you have any questions, I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any council questions at this time?
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead, Vince.
Mr. City Manager, it's great to see the surplus. I just want to make sure that we have accounted for all the capital improvement projects. Were there ones that we haven't included? Granted, at the end of the year, we may have a surplus, but were there other ones that we plan to spend in the next year that would draw this down?
So there'll be a small draw. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Yes, there'll be a drawdown of about another $1.5 million to $2 million from the ARPA funds, but you'll still have a bit of a surplus. So this represents what the financial statements will look like at June 30th. But you'll have definitely over $26 million probably close to 27 million in general fund reserves as we get through the rest of the capital projects that you've authorized and budgeted.
So in other words, would that be fair to say that this 29 looks really good, but actually there's some that will be spent?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Thank you for pointing that out, Mayor Protem.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I think, Councilmember Mann, you had a question?
Yes,
Go ahead.
yes, thank you, Mayor. Just quick clarification. Public Works engineering fees, that there was a substantial increase in percentage. Is that in any way associated with the construction we're seeing around town?
It's a great question, Councilmember Mann. Yes, as you know, in your field as well, sometimes there's a lag between when a construction project is entitled to when you actually see it built
Right.
and whatnot. So we're seeing some of that play out with some of the fees for some of the projects, including, for example, the tenant improvements that you're seeing at the former Rite Aid site and Ace Hardware. Those kind of projects are starting to play out. So we're seeing it's the lag again. So that's why you've seen you saw a pretty reasonable bump. But it also is reflective of some activity or the entitlement process and people going through that several months prior to that, sometimes even as long as a year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that question.
Thank you. Okay, I will then open up public comment. Anybody in the audience wishes to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I will close public comment and any final questions or comments by council members. If not, I will entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor Chavez, I will move to receive the fiscal year 23-24 fourth quarter financial review and reports, and to approve and authorize staff to revise revenue and expenditure budget estimates as indicated in attachment A of the staff report.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Madam Clerk, we could have roll call, please?
Councilmember Chen?
Yes.
Councilmember Mann?
Yes.
Councilmember Sternquist?
Yes?
Mayor Pro Tem Yu?
Yes.
Mayor Chavez?
Yes. Okay, that has been unanimously approved. We will now move on to item 11, update from City Manager. Mr. Cook, you're a busy guy tonight.
I think you've heard enough from me tonight, sir, but appreciate all the work with the Moon Festival from staff, and we got more programming to come on the park side over the next few months as well. The roof project is going on. Happy that we are not having to have temporary facilities, so that service to the public continues unabated. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Update from our city attorney, Mr. Murphy.
No report tonight, sir.
Thank you. All right, so we will now move on to item 13, council reports regarding ad hoc or standing committee meetings. Anybody have a meeting since the last time we met? Okay, I think we are trying to now set a meeting with the school district. I think we have a date in October, I think, or don't we? Forget the date.
I think it's October 24th.
Yeah, so we've got that coming up. Have some information, more information on what's going on there. Okay, so we will now move on to item 14, council items separate from the city manager's regular agenda. And we'll start with Councilmember Chen.
Just two brief updates. I attended the Los Angeles County Business Federation Freshman Policy Makers Reception. Since I'm a newly elected, I attended that event. It was very well attended. Good to see that in the region, there's quite a lot of business.
Where was the event?
It was at Universal Studios.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it was a lot of networking, business people, and other first-time local, mostly city council elected officials. So got to. It was a nice event, and while I also attended the Contract Cities Fall Seminar, and that was the only thing interesting to report out is the extensive discussion about the ballot measures, and especially how Los Angeles County looking at ways to replace the quarter-cent sales tax on Measure H, the homeless initiative, and adding it, amending the charter to making a half percentage.
Yeah, similar to what we heard tonight, I think.
Exactly. So I think, that's that was interesting for me to learn, but those are the two brief updates I have.
Good. Well, thank you for attending. It's great. And, you know, I think all of us understand the importance of attending these regional events and making those contacts and learning more information. I know October is going to be a busy month for many of us. We have a lot of conferences coming up in October, so looking forward to that. Councilmember Mann, anything to report?
Yeah, just briefly, I want to say I regret missing the High Autumn Festival. I was in Atlanta for a work-related conference for the county.
What was the temperature in Atlanta while you were there?
It was a cool 75 degrees.
You're lucky you were in Atlanta.
It was ironic because I've never been to Atlanta, so I was expecting the South to be humid.
And hot.
And apparently I arrived right as a storm passed, and they said, yeah, this is the coolest weather they've had. So, but anyway, I do want to, from what I've heard, my wife Helen did go, so she told me all about it, and I want to again extend my thanks and appreciation to World Journal and of course our amazing Parks and Rec staff for the collaboration on that. From all the residents, including my neighbors who stopped by to check it out, they all said they enjoyed it. So, thank you.
Thank you. We're glad you safely came back. Councilmember Sternquist.
Yeah, a few things. It seemed like it was a couple of weeks of food and celebration, but Tom and I went to the Camellia Festival kickoff, and Matt Byers is the general chair, very well deserved, and chairman. And it was a really nice event. It always is, just to kick off the Camellia Festival season. And then this past, what day is today, Monday? Tuesday. Friday, I was at a celebratory luncheon for Foothill Transit. They had their federal triennial, is it called triennial or triennial? Triennial
times a year.
review, and they did a luncheon for the staff because they had 0 findings. Having run a First 5 federal program for 5 years, it's no easy feat to get no findings on a review like that. So it was a nice event. They had 5 different food trucks that came, plus ice cream and a s'mores truck that, oh my gosh, they just had so much food. But I think the staff was very, very appreciative that their hard work paid off. And then with Mosquito District, much of the discussion was on the amount of money the new roof was going to cost the facility, because the facility is in a similar position as we were, and whether or not we wanted to install solar panels while we did the roof. So that was a very lengthy discussion that really ended with, we need more information. And we gave the city of Baldwin Park a hard time because they had a case of West Nile virus, and they also had 3 positive dead birds. So he's the youngest council member on the group, both in age and the time he's been vested in the group, so everybody was giving Baldwin Park a hard time. But, and then went to a fun event on Saturday, but I'm gonna let Tom share that.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem, you, anything to add tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just echo what other council member has said. Thank you so much for the High Autumn Festival. Great job, World Journal. And I also want to take the opportunity to thank our city staff, not just Park and Rec, everybody, and including our sheriff department. Everybody's out in the force in spite of the maybe warmer than usual weather, but everybody had a good time.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for attending.
Thank you.
All right, I just have a couple of things. Certainly, of course, the Autumn Festival, although we could have renamed that the Summer Festival, perhaps.
Heat Festival.
Judy Chu, I was sitting next to up on the, in the pavilion, made sure I was aware that it was 103 degrees at the time that we were having our opening ceremony, which is interesting. But it was warm. But, you know, in spite of that, community came out. It was, I would have to say, under all circumstances, a very well-attended event, true community event. A lot of food, a lot of things for people to do, and we actually, thanks to staff for, at the last minute, putting up a kind of a cool zone, misters and actually air conditioning units.
coolers.
Swamp coolers that were actually,
They were well
actually, when
used.
it's 103 and it's, the swamp cooler is putting out 80 degrees, it's pretty cool. But in all, it was a good event, and again, thank you to the World Journal for partnering with us on that, and great event. As Councilmember Sternquist said, we had the pleasure of being hosted by Foothill Transit this past Saturday. We actually were able to take our youth committee on a tour of the facility right here. Depending on where you stand, you're either in Arcadia or Irwindale. In fact, we were shown the dividing line between the two cities. On the one side is Irwindale, on the other side it's Arcadia. But they call it the Arcadia facility right here on Peck Road. Big thank you to Sean Shavira, who is the general manager, who gave the presentation, and of course to Doran Barnes, who is actually the CEO of Foothill Transit. So we're very honored to have him there as well. And they were great hosts. They first gave a presentation about what Foothill Transit's all about. The students were very involved, asked some great questions. I know they had a great time. We got a tour of the facilities, the double-decker bus, which is fantastic. It's like being on a ride rather than on a bus. It's like you think of it as fun, but they're doing a great job, and of course they serve our community well, and they've got a lot of visions for the future. As Councilmember Sternquist indicated, they are doing very well in all areas, and as we all know, Councilmember Sternquist sits on their executive board and has a great influence on things they do, and so
And Ed
thank you
is
for doing
on, represents
and
our,
you're a representative, I think, on
yeah,
that as
for
well.
the
so.
city.
So, yeah, so great time. I know the youth committee had a great time as well, and I said they were very engaged and asking a lot of questions. Again, the Camellia Festival kickoff dinner was great. Just as a sidelight to that, I know we're all aware that one of our former Camellia Festival princesses, Sabrina, passed away with her mother, Jennifer, in a terrible auto accident a few weeks ago. The funeral services, if anybody's interested, is at St. Luke's this Friday. I believe it's at 10 o'clock? 10:30. 10:30 at St. Luke's on this Friday, so if anybody's able to attend. Last thing I had is, do we have an update on Ace Hardware opening, or if we, maybe next meeting we can have Scott come and maybe give us a verbal update of some of these developments like Ace Hardware and any other developments. I know he periodically gives us written ones, but I think it might be good to share with the community what's going
Certainly.
on, because it looks great. I mean, the sign's
Sign is
up and it
nice.
looks like people are ready to walk in the door. I haven't poked my head in there, but I'm sure the inside is coming along, and
Staff's ready to go in too.
all right, well, we're looking forward to that, so it'll be exciting. And that's all I have for tonight. So we will now move on to item 15. Any additional public comment? Anybody from the audience wish to speak at this time? Seeing no one, before we adjourn tonight, I would like to close this meeting, unfortunately, in memory of a very frequent attendee to our meeting, Steve Stafford. Many of you knew Steve. He used to attend a lot of the meetings. You know, I think you could tell, although maybe he did it in an interesting way, but Steve cared deeply for Temple City. I mean, he really did. And you could tell, you know, by his comments and by his participation. And unfortunately, we had not seen him around for a while. Apparently, he was ill and unfortunately passed away. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I believe. And so we're going to miss him. And of course, our condolences go out to his family and friends, and, you know, maybe rest in peace, and our prayers are with all of them. So I will close tonight's meeting in his memory, and, you know, peace to all of you. So, and with that.
Thank you.